Welcome to Scoop War. We are live. It's Monday night. It is Browns Steelers. It is Ohio State versus Notre Dame. A lot of great football is going to be played in the next 6 days. We're going to get into that with Bill the Bank Green. We appreciate him as always. Offensively and defensively, Ohio State is clicking on all cylinders. 63-10 versus Western Kentucky. Number 2 overall in scoring defense, the most important stat in all of football. These guys are grinding. We're excited for them. So we're going to get right into that. But as always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in along with me, the Bank, Nevada Buck, all of us that are on here every night. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. That alert bell lets us know when you guys are ready to roll. You guys jump in here. All of our regulars are always in here. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Again, I've seen Naples, Florida. I've seen Miami. I've seen Portsmouth. I've seen everywhere across the country, Los Angeles. So I appreciate you guys globally as well. So let me know where you guys are watching from, and let's get this thing rolling. We are going to get right into this with my boy, Bill the Bank Green. Bank, what are you thinking about Ohio State at Notre Dame? Marcus Freeman, Ryan Day, Joe Alt left tackle versus JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer. Again, a lot of heat on our defensive ends. No sacks yet. They're about to play the best tackle they're going to see all year, frankly. And what are your thoughts on this game? Are you decent? I know that the Wake Forest quarterback is very, very, very good. He's got amazing statistics so far. What are you feeling about this game thus far?
Well, I think it's going to be a great game. I think Las Vegas has Ohio State as a 3-point favorite. I thought it would be like 7. That surprises me. That's that low, which tells me, pretty much what they think about this game. So I think it's going to be a great game. I think it'll be, shockingly one in the trenches. If Tuimoloau and Sawyer can pressure the edge like they did last week, and that was a good offense for Western Kentucky. Their defense is horrific. I mean, it's the worst defense in the country. So they're ranked in the hundreds, but that offense is good, and that O-line's not bad for them. And if you can get Sawyer and JTT pressuring from the outside, Tyleek and Michael Hall pressuring from the inside, then you can drop 7, back in coverage. You don't have to commit that many guys to rush the passer then. And if they can pressure with 4, it's going to be hard for Notre Dame to score over 30. And the flip side of that is if the Ohio State O-line can't hold up against the Notre Dame D-line, then they're going to struggle to get to 30. So this game's won by whichever O-line takes over the game. And, you got to keep those quarterbacks upright. McCord, you saw the other day, if he's not pressured, he can play pitch and catch with anyone. He can throw it. But if you move him off his spot, he is not, he's not Pat Mahomes on the run. Yeah. So that's the key. You keep him clean with those receivers. Notre Dame cannot cover those guys. So the best way to cover Ibuka and Harrison is knocking McCord off his spot, knock him down, hurry him, speed that clock up. And then Sam Hartman, if Sam Hartman gets time, and I know Notre Dame does not have elite, NFL wideouts, but he's going to get somebody open if he's got time, and he is going to hit somebody. That guy knows how to play. He's played big games before, and he's played against great defenses. He played against Clemson, he played against Florida State, and he didn't have big-time playmakers at Wake Forest. Sure didn't have big-time O-linemen at Wake Forest, but he put points on the board. So that's the fascinating thing this week. Which O-line cracks and which O-line cracks nuts. So that's where the game's won this week.
I totally agree.
Over that game. The O-line that takes over the game will enable the quarterback to get all the praise when the game's over. Because both those guys are going to hit guys if they're clean.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that Ohio State has NFL guards, with Donnie Jackson being a first-round pick in a lot of Mel Kiper's mock drafts. Matt Jones being a mid to late-round pick as a guard. Again, Carson Hinsman still finding his way, trying to figure it out. But Notre Dame is kind of the inverse. They've got Joe Alt, they've got 2 NFL tackles, and they've got young guys at guard. So, it's like Is this the Mike Hall Tyleik Williams game? I think it is. I think there's a little pressure on him. I think this is a Sonny Styles game. You know, if he's out there, he didn't play much versus the full spread Western Kentucky look, but I'm telling you, you got to pressure these guys. I think you have to affect the interior of the offensive line just because of the experience level, the lack of experience. Frankly, you know, if I'm Jack Sawyer and I'm JT Tuimoloau, this is the money game. This is you're playing Joe
Right.
Alt, top 10, top 15 pick. You know, if you want to go be that big dog, be that guy that makes a lot of money, like Vernon Golston in '07, my senior year, he beat Jake Long for a sack, and that got him propelled up to the number 6 pick. And he dominated Jake Long, Stephen Schilling, the two tackles, are both NFL tackles from Michigan. And Vernon, you know, when you play these marquee matchups, if you've got the guy who's supposed to be the guy, like Joe Alt is projected top 15 pick, left tackle, franchise type guy. If I'm Jack and JT, man, this is where you go make your money. It's not against Youngstown State or Akron or you know whoever. Like you know the blind mice of Antarctica. You have to go do it against these guys, and I think there's a lot of momentum there. What do you think about what Jim Knowles has done? He's gone away from the cover three. He's gone away from the three safeties. Jordan Hancock is playing a ton of nickel. Praise Jesus that we have
Yeah.
a corner playing in that slot, covering guys. Josh Proctor's been playing really, really well, really strong.
Really.
I think Tommy and
Yeah.
Steele have been great. But what do you make of what Jim Knowles has done to adjust to the passing offense and some of the prolific offenses that we play? Again, you know, Indiana, Youngstown State, not very prolific. Western Kentucky, number one in the passing offense
Oh,
last year.
yeah.
But at least you shut them down. But, you know, what do you make of the adjustments that we've made?
Well, I think they were necessary. And I think, when the season ended last year and you sit down with your coaches and go over each guy's performance, I think Ryan Day had a come to Jesus meeting with Jim Knowles and said, you cannot be so reckless. You're not at Duke anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have to take all these chances. We have athletes. We've never had guys like this before. Don't put us in bad positions. You're asking players to do things they can't do. You know what I mean? When you want to play man, that's fine. I love playing man. Jeff Hafley loved playing man with his three corners and Jordan Fuller 15 yards off the ball in the middle of the field to protect the back end. I love that. But you're going to play man with Ronnie Hickman, Lathan Ransom, and Tanner McAllister. And then you've got Jack Sawyer standing up, so you lose that pass rusher. He's in coverage a lot. Like, it ain't going to work. And, we can pop the tape in of Georgia and Michigan, and it did not work. But to Jim Knowles' credit, it looks like he has changed. And you can tell by his interviews, he talks about protecting the back end, not giving up big plays. I love it. I mean, you don't need to take chances. You know what I mean? And I think there's a time and a place for that, but not consistent cover zero where you've got these three safeties that I can't stand in man conditions. I hate it. Now, if you're going to play three safeties and Sonny's one of them, where Sonny's your wild card, you can line him up, outside the shoulder of Jack Sawyer and let that tackle figure out what he's going to do now. You can put Sonny 20 yards off the ball. You can put Sonny as a linebacker. I love being creative with Sonny. So I love what they're doing right now. If you look last week against a passing team, I think Hancock got 50 snaps and Sonny got, I want to say 27. I have to go back and look, but it's close. Those are close to the numbers. And that's great against a passing team. I have no problem with that. Hancock is a better cover guy than the guys they used last year. Whether it's Tanner McAllister or Ronnie Hickman, whatever. So I love what they're doing right now. I think it makes a lot of sense. And whether Jim Knowles came to that on his own, whether Ryan Day sat him down and said, dude, this ain't going to work no more. Or you ain't going to be working here no more. Whether I don't know how it is. You got to give Jim Knowles credit. When things are good, man, defensively, he deserves all the praise. And when it ain't very good, he going to get the blame. So, and that's just the nature. You coached before. You know the drill.
Oh yeah. Big
When
time.
When it works, you're a good coach. When it doesn't work, you're a bad coach and you get fired. That's the game. Okay, so right now, Jim Knowles, I love what they're doing. So let's see what happens this week. They've got to affect Sam Hartman. They've got to affect him. They cannot let him sit back there because he's going to slice them and dice them. So knock him off his spot, hit him a few times. I love that pass rush up the middle too because he's not Pat Mahomes in terms of escapability. So I love that with Tyreek and Mike Hall. If they have big games and we're talking next week, we're probably going to talk about an Ohio State victory.
Huh? Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, I know you are great friends with Luke Fickell. You think the world of Luke Fickell. You think he's a fantastic coach. Again, you've got great relations with him. When he had Everett Withers in 2013, not very good. Luke, back end not real tight. Sammy Watkins like 300 yards in the Orange Bowl. Chris Ash walks in the door, takes over that secondary magically with Luke Fickell still being running the front seven. Magically, we win the national championship. So again, there has to be a concert. There has to be guys that really know what they're doing. There has to be guys that really believe in what they're doing. Because again, it's not just knowing what you're doing. It's getting all of the guys on the field to believe in what you're doing. So you had the same guy, same Luke Fickell with Everett versus Chris. And again, I think Everett is a great human being. I really like Everett. I worked with him. Fantastic guy. Chris Ash walks in the door. Let's get it all cleaned up. Let's get the secondary rugby tackling and in concert with each other.
He didn't bring in some exotic.
No,
not at all. It was just be sound fundamentally, be sound with what we're doing. And that's what Chris did. I mean, Chris is, that's the genius of Chris Ash is he didn't come in with some crazy scheme, something wild no one's ever seen before. No, it was just fundamental, basic, solid defense. And that's why Chris is in the NFL today. That's who he is, So yeah, I like what they're doing right now. But let's see. This week is going to tell us a lot. That's why like I said, as I've written every week, I haven't made any season pronouncements on Ohio State since they started. Where, after YSU, it was like we suck, 4-loss team, maybe 5 losses. Then after Western Kentucky, we're the best team in the country. No one will touch us. We're undefeated. Forget all that. You'll learn something. This is the first benchmark. Yep. You're going to learn something. Man, by Saturday night, you're going to know a lot. So that's where we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think things are set up for Ohio State to succeed, and you got to go do it. I mean, so we'll see. We'll know a lot about this team and where this team's headed on Saturday night, where we really don't know right now. Are they the team that smothered Western Kentucky? Are they the team that went 7-0 against YSU in the second half? And that was with that starting O-line playing every single play. Oh. And Ryan Day tried to jam one in on YSU with a couple minutes to go, and he couldn't do it. They couldn't score against YSU. So who are they? I don't know. We're going to know after this Saturday. We're going to know a lot.
I totally agree. I think that defensively with Jim Knowles, he's figured out that, hey, I got the big sack of chips. Again, if you're playing in the World Series of Poker and I peel you off the streets of Canton, Ohio downtown, versus I peel you off and you're a billionaire, you're gonna play that final sack a lot differently if you got nothing to lose versus if you've got a bunch of money to lose. And I'm like, with Jim Knowles, you've got better players than everybody you play, so act like it. Just keep them in front of you. Play a little bit of zone defense. Don't play cover 0. You don't have to go for broke. You're not at Duke where it's again, Western Kentucky, their head coach, God bless him, was the guy that was playing for broke. He was going for it on our own 40 and fourth and 10 on our own 40. Oh, he's going. Yeah, exactly. So Ohio State, they've got 30 yards to go or 35 yards to go. He's going for it because he's going for broke because you peeled him off the streets of Canton, Ohio, and he's trying to he's trying to make it work. And maybe why can't, if I punt it to Ohio State, they're going to score in 7 plays instead of 4 plays. So might as well just go for it. And again, that's how Jim Knowles called his defense. And I think that when you tighten it up and you realize hey, I've got Tommy Eichenberg is still very good linebackers. I've got Mike Hall, Tyreek, I've got Jack, I've got JT, I've got Denzel's got a lot of momentum. I've got Davison, I've got Jordan Hancock, I've got Josh Proctor's playing fantastic so far. He's playing And again, like Josh Proctor is my favorite player maybe ever because he's a 6-year guy who got benched after 2 plays last year, and he didn't transfer to Florida or Miami or wherever, and he's stuck around, won the starting job, played with a lot of energy. So I mean, most guys that are in that situation where they get benched after 3 plays against Notre Dame and never play again, like they're out ski. So, but
Well, he didn't get benched, and he didn't get benched for like 2 guys that were high draft picks.
no, oh my God, no.
Very good. I mean,
Yeah,
compared to who he is, I like Josh a lot. I've always liked him. He just, like you say, he's older now, and I think his coverage skills are 100 times better than what they were when he was a younger player, where he was just a bullet looking to whack you. You know what I mean? He was Mike Doss, isn't it? And Mike Doss is playing your game right now. You have to be able to cover, or they can't put you on the field right now. I like everything I've seen out of Josh, and like you said, I thought that guy was on my transfer out list right after the Notre Dame last year. I thought this guy ain't going to take this. You know what I mean? They sent him to Siberia, and he came back. I mean, I give the guy a ton of credit. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Josh Proctor. So he's a guy that I really want to see him have a big year, get drafted. You know, I want everything good to happen to that kid, man, because he really, a lot of perseverance, especially now. We're in the portal area now. You can't even yell at a kid now. You can't even yell at a kid now.
No.
They're leaving. And Josh stuck it out, got better, did what he had to do. So he's a guy, and I know you feel the same way, that you just have to root for that kid. That's a guy that I really want to see have a big monster year, get drafted.
Yeah, I mean, like Ronnie Hickman left early, didn't get drafted, made the Browns. Like I want Josh Proctor 6th, 7th round. If he runs fast, he could go 5th round, maybe. He's overage.
Special teams too. He'll play special teams. You know, those NFL rosters. You gotta play special teams. And
you better.
He'll be tremendous on special teams.
I used to tell Boom Heron, who's like my little brother. I told Boom, look, here's the deal. You're a nice player. You're not Adrian Peterson. You're not Beanie Wells. You better learn how to cover a kickoff, because when you're the 3rd running back and you're up on game day, I mean, you're not standing there, eating sunflower seeds with a visor on. You're like running down, splitting somebody's wing on kickoff. And in college and high school, when you're Boom Heron at Warren Harding, you're like Maurice Claret. Oh, you can't be on special teams. Oh, you can't. You're made out of porcelain. I'm like, dude, you better go down there and figure out how to like split an R3, R4, split somebody's wig on kickoff, because like that's how you'll make it in the league. That's how you survive. Brian Hartline, again, was a mid-round pick, 4th round pick, whatever he was, and he ran down a kickoff and split somebody's wig, and all of a sudden everything changed. All of a sudden he got elevated to being
Yeah, Brian also did that at Ohio State, if you remember.
I was there at the Indiana game when he split. He broke
1,000 wide receivers ahead of him. He was a freshman, redshirt freshman. That's the only way to get on the field. And he was a heck of a special teams player. And I asked him about that. I'm like, man, you look like you love that. He goes, I hate it. He goes, I don't love it. I hate it. He goes, but it's what I have to do, and it's what I have to do well. It's my job. So, that'll carry Josh Proctor, I hope. You know what I mean? Because he will be a heck of a special teams player. He will throw his body where it needs to be thrown.
I'm telling you, man, when these guys are getting paid every week and they're just like, man, all I have to do is run down on 15 kickoffs, punts, all the ancillary stuff. Like, that's the gig. And like Brian Hartline, again, he didn't want to do it, but he did it and he ate it up. And magically, he climbed the depth chart. He became our number 4 receiver in 06 and never looked back. Then we got to the Miami Dolphins. He ran down on kickoff, split a guy's wig. Magically, everybody's like, ooh, this guy's tough. He'll work hard. He'll block. You got to do all the stuff where you get your nails dirty, because sometimes a lot of these guys don't want to get their nails dirty. But guys like Brian, guys like Josh Proctor, they get their nails dirty, and all of a sudden you'll look down and you're like, wow, he's played 7 years. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, he's played 8 years. He's got a couple endorsements, and he's made $10 million. And you're just like, wow, I didn't think he was any good or whatever. It's like Jonathan Cooper, who's the guy who nobody in the universe thought Jonathan Cooper was some unbelievable because he's coming on the heels of Chase, Joey, Nick Bosa. Jonathan Cooper
like
starts.
he
Jonathan
doesn't look
Cooper,
like those guys.
he
He's
doesn't.
like, I mean,
Yeah, he's a Columbus kid. He starts for the Broncos and had a sack fumble. He had 2 sacks yesterday, and people were just like, "Who's this Jonathan Cooper guy?" I was like, "Well, he's a guy that's like nasty, like really good player." And I'm telling you, like those are the kind of guys that you look down and you'll be like, "Man, that guy's got 8 years in the league. Man, that guy's made $15 million and whatever." So, well, Bank, I know it's super early. Obviously, it's Monday. What are your thoughts on Notre Dame? Again, there's a lot of time. You don't have to give me a prediction or anything, but it's Jack Sawyer, JT Tubelau versus Joe Alt. That's the one that the scouts are gonna be watching, the GM's gonna be watching, the owner's gonna be watching. But give me your juice right now. Obviously, this is the best quarterback we'll probably play all season. How do we affect the quarterback? What do we need to do to win this game?
Yeah, I think a key for Ohio State is being able to get pressure with 4. Because if you blitz Sam Hartman has played in 60 college games, I'm guessing by now. He's played a lot of football. Okay, that guy's played in 50 games for sure. Mm-hmm. If you blitz him and you don't get home, he will kill you.
Yeah.
So if you can get home with 4 and then drop 7 in the back end, he's going to have a hard time finding somebody back there. It looks like a picket fence back there when you're throwing against 7 as compared to when you're throwing against 5. You know what I mean? So that's the first key I'm looking at is, does Ohio State have to bring linebackers or corners off the edge to affect Sam Hartman? If they can affect him with 4 and drop 7, there are not going to be many openings back there because you're not defending Randy Moss and Chris Carter. You know what I mean? Notre Dame receivers, they're okay. They're D1 guys. I mean, they can hurt you, but yet, it's not defending Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ibuka. So first key to me is pressuring Sam Hartman with 4. That would be my first key.
Well, I just think they're slow. They're possession guys. Again, for me, the whole game comes down to stopping their running game. I mean, their running back has like 570 yards through 3 games.
He's a good runner.
And he's a hammer. He's a hammer. And again, I think Marcus Freeman, who was my teammate, great friend of mine, guy that invited me to training camp, was literally like, shorten the game. I mean, if you play the Buckeyes and you're not trying to shorten the game, if you're a complete total idiot, you try to get in a track meet with Ohio State and you'll get whooped. It's like me and you getting the spikes on and going against Usain Bolt. We're gonna get smoked, murdered, killed. But if me and you get Usain Bolt in a fist fight, we're probably gonna murder him.
Yeah, play
in a phone booth.
Which Marcus was able to do last year. If you remember that game, Marcus did kind of have the style go his way. He just didn't have a quarterback. Did you watch Alabama play the other day with that quarterback?
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Now, get the style of play. Say last year, the Notre Dame game, okay? What if Marcus would have had Sam Hartman in that game instead of Tyler Buckner? What if Nick Saban had Sam Hartman right now instead of Nick Clemson? That's what I'm saying. So Marcus was able to get the game played at his pace last year. No. Marcus wants a game in the teens. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Ryan wants that game in the 40s. Ryan Day wants a game that's just a high-scoring, flying up and down the field all day long. Yep. And Marcus wants old-time Jim Tressel football. That's what Marcus Freeman wants. So which guy controls the style of play? And if Ohio State busts out 17-3, 14-0, then your style of play is now out the window. Yep. You need a new game plan at that point. But, who gets the game played the way they want it played? Last year, Marcus did get that game played the way he wanted it. And that was going against, CJ and that group, Paris Johnson, all those NFL dudes. Stover, Trey Henderson. And he had that game played the way he wanted to. He just was out there without a quarterback. You can't play this game without a quarterback. No. So.
I mean, that's to me, that is the biggest difference between last year and this year. It's not DeWan, it's not Paris, it's not all the guys we lost. They have a real quarterback this year. So that is going to be they don't have Tyler Buchner who got benched by Nick Saban in one
Wow.
quarter. I mean, they've got a real quarterback who's played 6 years, and
And that guy's been
he's
out there forever. He's your
yeah.
age, I think.
I know. I think you might be your age, but
He's been out there.
he's real good. And again,
He's
you
seen
got
it
to get
all.
after him.
He's seen it all. But nobody throws well when they're on the ground. So, you
Hey,
know,
that's
that's
that
the key.
that that's the quote I would put on the wall at the Woody right now. Is it say, look, nobody throws the ball when they're affected and they're on the ground. Bill Bank Green, we'll put that up there.
You know?
So, any final thoughts? We'll wrap this thing up. Appreciate you, Bank.
Yeah,
Any final thoughts as we do this?
yeah, a couple of them is I hate to get through this podcast and not mention Julian Fleming. Um, dude, he didn't get a lot of catches or touches the other day.
Yeah.
He was a monster
Hmm.
blocking on the edge. I mean, that was as good a wide receiver blocking performance, and nobody cares about that. Nobody's ever going to talk about it, but I guarantee you, Brian Hartline shook Julian Fleming's hand after that game. Julian came in as the number one wide receiver in America. He didn't think of himself as a blocker when he was coming out of high school. So as we're propping Josh Proctor on the defensive side, I think you got to mention Julian Fleming on the offensive side for doing. You talked about getting your nails dirty, you know, doing the dirty work. I mean, Julian Fleming, I mean, was a monster the other day. I mean, he was killing people. He was physical and tough, and props to him for that. And the second thing is Brandon Baker, tackle out of California, makes his decision next Sunday. And I mean, this is a tight one. I've checked in with everybody I can check in with. When it was a Ohio State versus Oregon battle, even though his brother played at Oregon, I was supremely confident that Ohio State was going to win that thing. And here comes Texas out of nowhere. That man, that Texas NIL money is that's a tough one to overcome. So we'll see. I still think Ohio State can win this one. I love the relationship Justin Fry has with the family, with Brandon Baker. It goes back a long way. Had a great official visit to Ohio State. He's got to be able to see what Justin Fry did in 1 year with Paris and Dewan. So I still think Ohio State can get him. I liked it a lot better when it was OSU versus Oregon, and now that third fish prior there with Texas and the oil men. And so we'll see. But I mean, they need this guy. They
Yeah.
need this guy.
Yeah.
This guy takes that O line group. They got 4 commits right now in the O line. Brandon Baker takes it from, pretty good to great. Great. If you get Brandon Baker along with Ian Moore, then you can slow develop the twins and Mark Nave. So keep your eye on that one, man. It's coming up next Sunday, day after the Notre Dame game, and that one's going to be huge. And everybody I check with, nobody seems to know anything. I checked on 24/7, no crystal ball picks yet. So this one's being kept under wraps, and I'm going to keep digging all week to try to come up with something here. I loved OSU versus Oregon. I've got OSU versus Texas as a toss-up. I think Oregon's out of it. So we'll see. But
Uh,
that's to watch when you're all wrapped up in that Notre Dame game Saturday night, whether it's a win or a loss. On Sunday, Brandon Baker commits.
Yeah, I would empty the vault for Brandon Baker. Again, Bank, you're from Maslin Perry. I'm a Maslin guy. Our Maslin boys whooped up on our three St. Ed's, Ohio State, Michigan commits. So, we need a guy that can stand in. Again, you watch when the twos come in. I always read the tea leaves. They want Luke Montgomery to be their starting right tackle next year. I mean, they're going to have Jimmy Josh Simmons at left tackle. They got Luke repping at right tackle. So next year, when Josh Fry moves on, they're going to have him in there. So I think that's right for the pickings. I think if you're Brandon Baker and you can be the left tackle in a year after Jimmy Josh Simmons goes to the league, but again, and I think the Twins, they'll be okay. But if you look at Maslin's recruiting rankings, you're not seeing the guys going to the SEC and the Ohio State guys, Michigan guys.
Don't watch that.
And,
The film's
and
out there. You got to watch that Pringle kid from Maslin. Darian Pringle, I think it's Dorian Pringle. I've never heard of him. I know
monster.
who he is now.
Yeah.
He's the perfect MAC recruit. He's going to Bowling Green. He's like a 5'11", 230
Yeah.
ball. He
Yeah.
wrecked St. Ed's. St. Ed's ran the ball 31 times for 59 yards. They haven't had a stat like that in forever at St. Ed's. St. Ed's will run the ball on the Browns. They didn't run it on Massillon, and that Dorian Pringle might have had 15 tackles in that game, and he affected everything. And
Well,
like I said, not Ohio State's going to recruit because of the measurables and the size, but on a Friday night in a game you got to win, I want that dude on my side. He was the best football player in the field with all the Ohio State, Michigan commits. He was the best football player on that field by far.
Yeah, and you know what his name's going to be, Bank, after 1 year? Transfer Portal Pringle. We'll call him Portal Pringle because he'll be going to Bama or Auburn or Georgia or Michigan because he'll go to Bowling Green. He'll start as a freshman. He'll have 20 tackles for a loss and 10 sacks, and they'll be like, "Wow, how do we miss this Portal guy? Maslin Tiger, Portal Pringle." Like they'll be like, yeah.
The thing was, he's so versatile. When they lined him up on the edge, I mean, he just smoked those tackles for St. Ed's. But then a lot of times they lined him up as a Mike backer in the middle of the field, and he was just on a search and destroy, find ball, see ball, kill runner. He was on that type of mode. He had sacks. I mean, he wrecked that game. He wrecked St. Ed's. Nobody wrecked St. Ed's. You don't wreck their O-line over the years.
No.
So I never heard of the kid before, even though I live 5 minutes from where he's at, and I had to name up. You got to prop the kid, man. I know he's committed to Bowling Green. This is a 2-star. If I had my hand in that pie, he'd be a 3-star right now. Just after that game.
Yeah.
And Dorian Pringle, man, kid from Massillon, loved watching that film. Just loved the effort, how he played. And to see a defensive player wreck St. Ed's, I've never seen it. I've been doing this stuff for over 20 years. I've never seen anyone wreck St. Ed's. So props to Dorian Pringle. I wanted to get his name out there.
Absolutely. And props to Maslin guys because Maslin guys are tough. Well, appreciate you, Bank. Except me. You can still keep me at 2 stars, Bank. We're all good. So, well, I appreciate you, brother. I know that you're a diehard. I just have to get the last question. What do you think of your Steelers tonight? Because we got that Monday Night Football game is about to kick off down in Heinz Field. I still call it Heinz Field. What do you think of your Steelers tonight versus the Browns?
TJ Watt going against DeJuan Jones. Love you, DeJuan. Wish you the best, buddy. If DeJuan controls TJ Watt, the Browns are going to win. If TJ is TJ and teaches DeJuan what the big boy league's all about, then the Steelers are going to win.
Well, I think DeJuan will dominate TJ because you know why? He'll channel Greg Suduara and it'll be dominant.
DeJuan doesn't have to worry about his car being broken down or anything like that. Although he might have a driver's license now. I don't know. He did not have a driver's license for Ohio State. He's got a car now.
He doesn't have to Uber to the game from Cleveland, so that's great. That's a good start.
He used to take a bus back home to Indianapolis.
Oh, I know. He was on the Greyhound hitting me up. Bank, you are the absolute best, my man. I appreciate you. We're going to wrap this thing up. As always, we got our boy, Bill the Bank Green, killing the game, as always. Thank you so much, Scoop family. Thank you, everyone that tuned in tonight. If you enjoyed this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert button. If you enjoy our live content, you'll get a little alert every time we go live. But thank you guys so much, as always. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Shout out where you guys are watching from. I'd love to see where you guys are watching from. And I also want to see who's going to be the MVP of the Notre Dame game. I got Tommy Eichenberg, Trey Henderson. Who's better than that? Let me know. Hit me up. Appreciate y'all. And go Bucks. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go, girl.